Hey, everybody, welcome to the April 2026 edition of Philosophy of a Photo Artist. And I have to apologize right up front. I am still fighting a bad head cold, so I might be doing some coughing or blanking out here a little bit. But four major things we're going to talk about here, and I want to jump into the program. Number one, we're going to do a little thank you again, like I always do. Number two, we're going to talk about pros and cons of AI, and this is probably going to be the biggest part of today. I also have to, number three is going to address some questions and issues that some people brought up, actually three of them, so I'm going to do that for you. A quick demo in Photoshop, by the way, in that. And if you stay to the end, and that is number four, I've got a 2.5-minute slideshow that is showcasing images that you people, the subscribers, has actually flipped over to me at this channel to show your work based on what you're learning from this channel. So I'm really excited about that one. Are we ready to get started on this? Let's do it. Okay, starting with number one, let's take a look at the big thank you. And I'll put this on the screen right here, and I have it up there for a few seconds or so. These are the people that donated to the channel last month in March. So I thank you very much for doing that. It keeps me excited and motivated to keep doing these videos. So if you are new to buymeacoffee.com, let me show you what it's about right now. All right, so if you go to buymeacoffee.com/Stephen Photo Artist, the link is here at the bottom of the screen. It's also in the show notes. You're going to come to the home tab over here, and this is where you can actually donate 1 cup of coffee, 3, 5, it's up to you. It'll recalculate, how much that is down there. Doing monthly, I don't really promote that. I mean, this is just on a volunteer basis, so I thank the people that are supporting the channel. It keeps me motivated. But a lot of people are missing the extra tab. And what I like about the extra tab is by making a donation here, you're going to get something back in return. So as an example of how this works, I'll try to build this up with more different things and templates. But the popular one is right here, painting with brushes in Photoshop. If you click on something, it opens up a sub menu. And if you click on the link, it'll actually show a promo video as to what this is about and what you get for that donation. In this example, this, as of this recording, is $5. So again, the ones that are doing that, I really appreciate it. Thank you very much for helping and supporting the channel. All right, now number two issue, and this is the big one, and that is the pros and cons of AI and what it's actually doing to photography and video, which I do not do, but it's really affecting more in jobs in terms of video production in traditional methods in Hollywood. I'm not going to go on that one. We're going to talk about photography only, and it's interesting to see what is happening out there. I'm going to show you what I've used it for a personal friend, but we'll get to that in a few minutes. Number one, when it comes to, I had to write this down, a whole list here. If you're doing photography as a hobby, don't worry about AI. I mean, what I like about AI, the pros of this is it's enhancing some of our editing tools, say in Photoshop and maybe some other products out there, to get the job done. Like when I make a selection of something, because I'm going to make a composite, I'm getting a better selection than, say, what I was 2-3 years ago. And some of our cleanup tools and stuff, I can't remember the last time I actually used the clone stamp tool because of the new tools that we have that are adjusted with AI just to make it work better. So in that regards, I love AI with that respect. Now, when it comes to, hey, I'm in business in photography, this is really starting to affect and hurt a lot of people. So I had to write this down. Number one, I talked about this in the past. If you're doing corporate headshots, it's chipping away at your business right now. Major companies, by the way, Procter & Gamble is using this. My son-in-law works for the company, and corporate headshots are becoming a thing of the past. They're just taking photos with their smartphone, sending them up to a service, and it comes back like your photo was taken at a studio at a fraction of the price. And they don't have to worry about letting somebody, go for a few minutes, they get their picture taken, or having a photographer come in. That is going away. So I know some people that are still active, and it's affecting their business right now when it comes to corporate headshots. And it's only going to get worse over time. Number two, if you're e-commerce sites, this is affecting models because AI is jumping in there, taking over that. So they're AI models displaying the clothes. We don't need photographers anymore like we did before to take photos of models wearing the clothes. That's affecting that industry right there. Another area is commercial product shots are now being taken over with AI, and the people that do it traditionally, what's happening is AI is devaluing their service, and it really is getting them upset, but it's just the way it is, and it'll only get worse and worse. There's a website out there, a service out there called Canva, if anybody knows that. Let me show you that right now out there in the internet. And Canva is great for, graphic design stuff. I'm going to show you something I did, but I never used Canva on this. I'm not a graphic designer. I listened to a staff of graphic designers, and they basically said this, and these are professionals. They're in the industry. They are telling people, parents, kids, whatever, do not waste your money going to a 4-year college. Now, again, I'm not the one saying this. I'm the messenger. Don't waste your money going to a 4-year college to become a graphic designer, because the value of that has gone down, and things like Canva and companies are catching on to this, that their staff and people can actually do this stuff to do some really creative things. They don't need graphic designers like they used to anymore. And if they do, they're devaluating the existing graphic designers out there, because they go, well, I can go to Canva and get that for a fraction of the price. So all of a sudden, people that this is their living have got to discount their price and stuff, and it's only getting worse. And that is what graphic designers are telling me that have been in the business for a long time. So this is affecting a lot of people's jobs and devaluating things. Now, in the areas that it's not affecting at all is what I used to do for years, and that is family portraits, photographing children, high school seniors, weddings. Those things have not been affected at all with AI, other than your editing tools, have been improved. But in other areas, AI is really bringing down the value of all these different services out there. So if you've never been to Canva, take a look at it. There's all these different categories of creating presentations, social media, videos, etc. right here that you see. To start with, if I click on trial, you'll see that you'll get 30 days, but after that, it's $18 a month. And if you're a business account, it's $25 a month, and they're offering you more high-end stuff. So for a business, this is very economical and unbelievable, the tools that they actually offer. So AI is here. It's only going to get bigger as we move into the future. So the other thing I want to talk about that has to do with AI is how it's affecting me in a funny way. Okay, so, and I never had this asked before. I belong to, I'm not going to mention the names, but different private social media groups where I post my images up there. They ask questions and things that, again, it's a private group I invite only with professionals. And when I would do these surreal composites where I start with a photograph, but then I'm adding different elements, something like this. And you guys have seen this if you've been following my channel for a while. So an image that looks like this right here versus an image like this, and another one that looks like this right here. Here's what I'm laughing about. Every time I post something now or show it to somebody, I'm getting this response. Oh, is that AI? And they start to laugh and I go, no AI at all on this. So now if I ever do something and I post it on social media, I'm going to have to make a comment that absolutely no AI was used to produce this. Never had to say that, 2-3 years ago, but unbelievable how people's reaction, even I'm talking about not photographers, not only them, but just the general public. People are now on social media don't know what to believe anymore when they look at an image. They're going, maybe that's not real. Then maybe that's AI. Even videos that we see, it's confusing people. And that's why a lot of times when they're watching news and that, they don't even know what to believe anymore when they see a video on the news or a picture that's showcased on the news, because they're questioning, is that real or not? So AI is affecting that. So let me get into something where I did use AI for a friend of mine. And so I'm going to have to give you some background information, and I'm going to show you what I actually produced. But I didn't use Canva. I just use a different service out there that didn't cost me anything. So I'll share that with you right now. Okay, this is an example of using AI, and I just did this for a friend. This is not a client or whatever. He does magic, and he does this really cool, eerie sort of story about in the early 1900s, a village just out of London. People were disappearing in this village, and there were like 6 suspects, and they had to bring in this special paranormal guy or whatever to determine who is the one that's causing the people to vanish. And there's 6 characters. So if you take a look at this image right here, he had put together these blank playing cards, but drew things like alien, ghost, witch. These are the characters. And I'm thinking, oh, come on, we can do something better than that. So he doesn't know nothing about using editing software or AI, that kind of stuff. So I did this for him. So I said, you're talking about this village from the early 1900s, sort of like on the spooky side, and people are disappearing. So I'm not sure if this is going to show up, but I actually created an image for him of the village. So let me see if I can show you here on the screen here instead. So this is the image, and I just had a nice printout for him. And so as he's talking about the story, this is just adding to that story about the people vanishing. So it's called Vanishing People right there. And instead of these blank playing cards that he had to draw these different characters on there, I used Microsoft service for free, Copilot. And this is what I created. And I had to open up the image in Photoshop to add the text. So you see alien right here. So let me just show you really fast. I printed some cards because I have a professional printer here in my home studio. And so things like this, and again, hopefully I don't get a reflection there, but all the different cards are done right there. So instead of having these things done with a magic marker, this looks a little bit more professional looking. So this is just examples of the different characters. So that's an example of me using AI to produce something. And again, I'm not a graphic designer. I'm not going to be able to create things like this from scratch, right? So that's an area that, hey, I'm using AI. I think it's great. But again, it's not client work type of thing. But I thought I'd share that with you. So in that respect, I love AI. So if you can do me a favor here, please feel free to make comments about your attitude toward AI. It's not right or wrong. Do you like AI? Do you not like AI? Are you going to use it? I mean, express your opinion on this. But in certain areas, I think it's going to be great. But I know people that are in business and stuff, this is really going to affect them, certain parts of business, in a very negative way. All right, let's get into number 3. And that is, I need to address some questions and do a quick demo in Photoshop. Let's do it. All right, in segment number 3, I had some questions and issues I want to address right here. So with 3 different people. And the first one comes from Larry, and something about he couldn't find edges. And I think he was talking about this. If you watch any of my past videos, I did this as a concept. So I'm going to do this really fast. I'm just going to duplicate the layer over here. And I'm going to go to filter drop-down menu, come down to blur, and I'm going to choose smart blur. And in the dialog box here, I'm just going to choose in the drop-down menu high. And this is going to go to edges only. This is not what we're talking about yet, but I'm going to do this. Make some adjustments here just to show you this really quick, and click on OK. And it sort of like etches this out. Let it render out for a second. And then when that's done, once in a while I do this with images when I do this type of work and also other type of work. I'm going to do Control-I, Command-I in a Mac. I'm just inverting that. So now it's starting to look like a pencil sketch. If I want to enhance the edges of an image, there's a feature we've had for a long time under Filter drop-down menu. So Larry, I think this is what you were asking about, and that is if you come down to Stylize on the flyout menu, there's actually a feature in there called Find Edges. And he had mentioned to me in an email he couldn't find edges. So again, I think this is what you're talking about. Go to Filter, Stylize, Find Edges. Watch what happens to the image. It really just enhances the edges of that image and really pops it out. So I use that feature once in a while. Hopefully I've answered your question on that. So let's take a look at our next issue that came up. And this came from Bob. So I'm going to minimize this. We don't need to see that. And Bob was asking, have I ever seen or done the Adamski effect? And the answer is no. I know who the person is. I've heard of it, and I've seen his work. If you haven't seen the work, this is his website. I'll just go to the website. You can find sample images called the Adamski effect. And basically what's happening here is the subject is in focus, but everything else is blurred. And there's a lot of different ways of doing this effect. I was looking at it. So yes, I'm just going to say, Bob, that asked this question, it's in my diary. It's something I will do as a video for you people in the coming few weeks and stuff. So yes, I will do that for you. I just need to emphasize that there's a lot of different ways of doing it. So the way I will show how to do it doesn't mean it's, again, the only way. And then the very last thing I want to talk about that somebody asked me a long time ago, and I just want to make sure that Susan, if you're watching, I did not forget about this. And she asked a question, and again, I had to write this down. She was wondering if there was a way that we could create something called like a Polaroid emulsion effect that you actually did with a Polaroid in these different techniques, and you pull back and it leaves sort of like it's just like a warped image. And so something that looks like this right here that you see. So that's an example of something that's done really with a Polaroid. It's not Photoshop or whatever right there. So she was wondering, is there a way I can do that in Photoshop? And the answer is, I think so. What I'm going to do, it's in my diary. It's something I will do. I thought I'd get to it sooner, but I'm actually going to try to do something that I've never done on the channel. And that is, I'm going to video record myself capturing this in a camera first in my studio, then bring that image into Photoshop, cut out things, and then build a concept like that from scratch. The reason I have to delay this a little bit is my home studio is a wreck. I'm dumping a bunch of stuff in there that I'm cleaning out a storage bin of things I haven't used in years, outdated stuff in photography that nobody even wants and I need to get rid of. So I'm in the process of cleaning things out and then straightening up my studio. Once I get that done, yes, I'm going to dive into that. By the way, you guys remember something called sync cables? You know, most of your cameras today, they don't even have a sync port in the back. We used to use a sync port cable that you plug into the side of your camera, in the front or the side, that would connect to a strobe. So every time you took the picture, the strobe would go off. There's no such thing as wireless triggers. You know, that was coming down the road. But before, we used to use sync cables. And I found all my sync cables. And of course, my new cameras don't have that. But my older camera does have the original sync port in it. So amazing how technology has changed over the years. So yeah, so back to Susan on that. Yes, I will do that. Now for the finale. And this is the big one, and that is we're going to take a look at a slideshow of your images that you sent in on techniques that you have learned from this channel, which I love to see. So before I get into that, I need to do something quickly, and that is, please remember that when you submit images to me, make sure that it's okay for me to use your name. I'm actually plugging in their names on the images there. And also, I do not critique that. Everybody's level is different in photography and what you're doing, especially as a photo artist. And it's just important to showcase your work. But I'm going to throw out something to you that you should think about. And I might share some of this with you in the future. And that is, keep doing what you love to do and keep doing it over and over again for a long period of time. Look back at what you did 3-4 years ago, and you'll be amazed that you're going to be progressing up. And what you thought was good 3-4 years ago is like, it's okay. So I went back in my archives looking at images I thought were pretty good at the time. And I'm talking about back in 2005, 2006, 2007. And I look at them and I start to laugh and I go, all right, it's okay, but it's amazing how my style has changed. So I'm going back to those images and I'm going to re-edit those. And I'm going to bare my soul in the future with you. I'll show you before and after and how my editing style totally changed from the earlier days to where it is today. Okay, so enough of that. Let's enjoy. Let's jump into the slideshow, and I have some final thoughts at the end. Let's do it. right. Once again, thank you for everybody that sent your images in. Again, I get excited that you're learning something and you're doing something that I was taught, and that is when you're inspired, that doesn't really mean you're inspired unless you follow up with action like you did. If you don't follow it up with action, it's nothing more than being entertained. So I really appreciate, you should be applauded for sending those images in. And by the way, if you enjoyed this video and having fun with this, and we'll get back to normal on my Wednesday videos, please consider liking the video, subscribe if you have not subscribed, and hit that notification bell. The next time I upload a video, which is at least once a week, you'll get notified on that. All right, everybody, let's get that camera out. Let's think creatively out of the box, and I mean literally out of the box. Until next time, see ya.